Hello everyone, this is Crody giving you a shoutcast between Mouse Strelok and NightEnd, game 1 in a series between these between these two players, and this is gonna be, I don't know if it's a best of 3, best of 5, just gonna say that there are a number of games, and go ahead and watch these games in order as I will be referring to them. Mouse Strelok spawning as the green Terran player at what I'll call the 12 or 10 o'clock position, excuse me. NightEnd spawning as the blue Protoss. So Protoss versus Terran here on Shakuras Plateau. And as of late, a lot of the replays I've been watching, I don't know, maybe I have a limited time to watch a lot of these games. It feels like Protoss has pretty much found the answer against Terran, and the amulet research, although a lot of people are saying that it is imba and may be for the better, I'm not 100% sure. I'll try to use this as a little bit of an indicator. Don't inflame me already. I've just been trying to keep track of the standard high-level play and seeing how Terran versus Protoss is working out. Protoss has a number of different options that they can go for early in the game, and it almost feels like Terran has to win within the first 12 to 15 minutes. Otherwise, it's very difficult for Protoss, as Protoss is able to macro up a large and a high group of tech armies, Colossus, Void Rays, Stalkers, Zealots, and there's really not much the Protoss you can really do to counter the Protoss death ball, except not allow your opponent to get it. A probe now making its way out from NightEnd. NightEnd will be able to walk up that ramp and pretty much see that there is going to be a barracks being placed on that front door. He's not going to be able to harass the SCV, as the SCV should be done by the time that one probe does walk up that ramp, but he will know that it is going to be a rock spawn here on Shakuras Plateau. There you go, there's that probe gonna try to get some damage, realize that it can't, and now the SCV is on its way. Just a quick question for you guys. I know I've asked this in the past a lot, but most of the other high-level commentators do not leave the health bars on, saying that the health bars kind of get in the way of watching the game. Do you guys like it on or off? If I turn it off, I won't be able to give you as much detailed commentary, but it does look like a better game just because there isn't little blue and green rectangles all over the place. And the probe just dancing back and forth, and SCV will be walking up this ramp in just a moment. He will see a gateway, and now training up a Zealot and a Cybernetics core coming into play. We should be getting another, oh, that's a very early, actually no, that pylon's not that early. We should be getting another assimilator sometime soon, as a lot of Terran play recently has been focusing around sentries. So there's going to be a Zealot followed by a Stalker. The Stalker is going to get chrono boosted out in addition to that Cybernetics core, a pretty standard build there. And now we are also getting an early Reaper. So that Reaper, if it is able to build in time, should be able to intercept this Zealot. The Zealot does have a fairly slow movement speed, so if that Reaper is able to be trained in time, it should be able to at least intercept the Zealot. The problem is going to be trying to stop this Stalker. The Stalker now wandering around on the inside of the base, looking for what it expects to be another SCV somewhere in there. Strelok also getting a bunker on the front door, as well as getting a command center. So this is going to be a 1-racks expansion, and now the Zealot now simply trying to come up, and now there we go, one Reaper and a couple Marines, and that Reaper just going to just make a very, very sad day for that Zealot. But the probe be able to come in and pretty much see what it wants to see, sees that there is no additional tech, there is an expansion coming in, and now how will NightEnd respond? NightEnd currently getting another gateway, and as soon as that SCV gets taken down, he should be building an additional production building. It could be a robotics facility. It could be, yeah, 2-gate with the robotics facility, very, very popular, as a Nexus also goes down as well for NightEnd. Strelok has a little bit of an advantage in this battle so far, so there we go with that one command center there. He should upgrade that to an orbital command. After that, he will lift it off. We can see another barracks being placed down, so it's going to be 3 racks. 3 racks, most likely there's not going to be any add-ons anytime soon, just trying to train up more and more Marines. There is a large amount of gas though, so perhaps he will add those add-ons just to make sure he can double train some Marines off of perhaps some reactors. Upgrading to an orbital command here. A lot of units do need to get pumped out of here in order to be able to protect this expansion though. There is one add-on, there is one reactor, and now we are going into an engineering bay for the level 1 weapons and armor upgrades, and that is another tech lab. So 2 tech labs, 1 reactor, Nexus nearing completion, as that engineering bay is about halfway completed already. Taking a look at the harvester count, two mules, 26 SCVs versus 28 probes. Strelok has a definite advantage currently with the command center. or orbital command already in play and already calling down mules at the main base. Probes now being transferred over to the natural expansion and NightEnd. Both players pretty much establishing their expansions at almost the same exact time. We now see it is going to be 3-gate with the robotics facility and also getting the robo bay. A lot of the times I hear people call placing down the robo bay. That's actually not the robo bay. That's the robotics bay. This is the robotics facility. Yeah, it's kind of a difficult thing to try to remember. The facility builds stuff, the bay researches stuff. I don't know. I always thought of facility researcher stuff and you build stuff in a bay. Anyways, back over here, orbital command calling down more mules, and Mouse Strelok making sure to call down mules at the natural expansion as opposed to his main base. The main base would end up being mined out much more quickly. 3 racks, 1 racks with the reactors, continuing to just train up more and more units. And the longer this game goes, the more I think it's gonna favor Toss. As Toss gets those Colossus, gets the extended thermal lance range, it's gonna be very difficult for Strelok to even try to counter this, as there is now an observer making its way into the base. We'll be able to scout out and see all this critical information here. We finally have a factory, so that means we will be getting Metavacs and Vikings as well. I don't see that many sentries currently, only 3 sentries. It almost feels like NightEnd needs to get a little bit more sentries in order to be able to fend off and get a lot of Guardian shields and force fields. The force fields really help out. And yeah, the force fields really help out. There is now 1 observer in the air, Marines on the ground, perhaps going to try to shoot down that observer. No, not going to shoot down that observer, as the Marauders are just still wandering around back and forth. The Marauders, if they try to charge up at this time, it would be very difficult, as there are Stalkers, Zealots, and Sentries. Those Sentries are able to just lay down force fields and split up that army. Back over here, double refineries now come into play, should transfer in 4 SCVs total. So Strelok now mining with, I believe, what is that, 12 harvesters. Same thing for NightEnd. They should have similar gas production. No, actually NightEnd has a little bit of an advantage. Actually not by much, perhaps it's just the rate of their collection. Extended thermal lance range now being researched, and both players just sitting inside their base playing Sim StarCraft and building up a very strong army and waiting for the other player to make a mistake. Now that we also have NightEnd getting what I believe to be Phoenixes, those Phoenixes are going to be able to counter those Vikings fairly well. Phoenixes cost a little bit more than a Viking, I believe just 25 gas more and 25 minerals more, but beat a Viking in a one-on-one fight. There we are. There are going to be double Phoenixes, and I believe NightEnd is also going to end up being gas locked now, based upon his production, because Phoenixes build that quickly. You can actually run out of gas just trying to build Phoenixes off of 2 Stargates. And Phoenixes do build relatively quickly, and you can see there he's already running low on gas once again. More Colossus are still being trained. Is he going to have enough? Maybe just quite right, as long as he doesn't chrono boost any of his production buildings. More Zealots most likely going to get added to that front side as well, so a lot of Zealots getting added in. We do have Metavacs, Marines, and Marauders with combat shield. The Marauders are upgraded 1-0 as another base being established here. So Strelok on top of his macro, on top of the expansions, already establishing up his 3rd base and transferring some SCVs over. He should have a decent economy going in, and now that he transferred this into this location here, and mining off of 24 mineral patches will help him out tremendously, as I accidentally hit B. An army of, 4 Phoenixes now hiding off over here. Perhaps 2 more Phoenixes will get added on into this group, and as soon as 6 Phoenixes are in the air, they can move out and get a lot of damage done. Strelok also with 1 factory awaiting over here. More Zealots still being warped in, more Phoenixes still being trained, and now NightEnd continuing to just go Phoenix, Colossus, and Zealots, as Zealots are the only non-gas unit that is available to the Protoss army, aside from warp prisms, but there's really no reason to have an army of warp prisms anyways. A Stalker and a Marine can battle it out, but a group of Marauders are going to come over instead and shut down that 1 Stalker there. And I really wish more was happening in this game. So as the game continues, Colossus, Sentries, and Zealots waiting off over here. We have the army of Phoenixes, the fleet of Phoenixes, 6 Phoenixes going to go up to 8, and also going to get the level 1 weapons upgrade. So that is going to definitely help out the Phoenixes. The Phoenixes will essentially deal 20% more damage. That is a significant amount, especially off of just level 1 weapons upgrade, a 20% increase in damage. Every 5 Phoenixes act like 6 in terms of being able to dish out that damage, and now the Phoenixes are also do a good job of absorbing damages from Vikings, but we are also getting the ship weapons upgrade for the Vikings as well. Ghost and Mobius reactor and infantry weapons upgrade. So very, very interesting that both players are just sitting on their side of the base, perhaps macroing up and trying to see who can get the larger army. Currently, Strelok still has the advantage at 5,500 compared to 4,200, but the gas army size does show a different story, 2425 versus 1,600 there, so those Colossus are going to have a little bit of an issue. Interesting fact, or interesting strategy by NightEnd, he doesn't have a Twilight Council. No Twilight Council means that he's not going to get Zealot leg upgrades. No Zealot leg upgrade means that those Zealots are going to get slowed down by Marauders and perhaps not be able to make it to their target in time. That is going to be a little bit of an issue, but with the minimal number of Stalkers, at least the Zealots will be accompanying these Colossus. Level 1 weapons upgrade for the ship, for Protoss Air and Protoss Ground about completed, and these units should be making their way out in just a moment, and in comes the fight. A mass army of Marauders, no Psystorm, so this is going to be a pure Viking, Marauder, and Marine. There is currently one observer there, and then in comes an EMP Shockwave. The EMP Shockwave pretty much missed all of those units though. As those Stalkers, there are so many Colossus, so with that many Colossus, I'm not sure what Strelok can really do, especially as those Phoenixes are going to try to absorb some of the damage. And oh, one Colossus running out way too far ahead, and in comes the first battle. The Colossus are backing off. The Phoenixes are engaging against the Vikings, and the Colossus are just trying to destroy the rest of the ground units. And this is going to be a very, very difficult battle, as many of the Medivacs and Vikings are now completely down. Phoenix is now being forced to just try to graviton beam units, and both sides battling out. This army of Phoenixes still doing a great job. They're going to start picking up more and more of those Marauders, and they should be able to pick up more of those units. No EMP Shockwave, and there's only one Colossus left. There is still a lot of Phoenixes though, and those Phoenixes were just absorbing damage. And wow, NightEnd surviving that battle with one Colossus left. Zealots are being warped in, and now 2 additional units have been taken down. This army of Phoenixes perhaps can get some damage onto some of these SCVs over here. They should be getting up to 50 energy in just a moment. Taking a look at the unit combinations, 13 Marauders, 2 Vikings, 7 Marines against 10 Phoenixes, 2 Colossus, and 3 Zealots. A lot of probes were taken down by lost by NightEnd at this expansion here, so really the separate army attack really helped Strelok out. He should be able to ride this economic wave into the late game, as he's currently mining with 5 mules. You can see what a difference 5 mules makes. 3,000 minerals a minute, and that is going to become a very, very large army in just a moment. As you can see, level 3 weapons upgrade, Ghost, Medivacs, level 2 ship upgrades as well. The Phoenixes, I think it was just a mistiming on NightEnd's part. If NightEnd was able to save perhaps some of his Colossus a little bit earlier, and oh, Phoenix is now coming in, gonna pick up some of those mules. 1 mule down, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All 6 mules have been shut down, and now some SCVs added to boot, and there you go, no more energy left. Phoenix is just going to hang around here and wait perhaps for some more energy. No, not going to try to engage at all. Still 1 factory in the air there, as more Marauders are still being trained. Mass production, 9 barracks, 1 of them with a reactor, training up mass Marauders and Marines, and Colossus, and just a massive number of units. And now you can see 200 versus 127 over 182. NightEnd is in trouble. He does not have that much of a large army just because of the sheer production value of Mouse Strelok. Mouse Strelok with 9 barracks and able to empower them, doing a great job. And in comes some more EMP Shockwave. So mass EMP Shockwave. Phoenix is now going after the Vikings. There are a lot of Colossus, but the Colossus are not going to be able to deal all that much, especially against stimmed Marauders. And now the Colossus are trying to run away, but unable to. And I believe that is going to be GG, as the Phoenixes are in the air, unable to do anything at all. So there you go, NightEnd losing a game here on Shakuras Plateau. Strelok pretty much won with superior economy. And if you take a look at, I believe, the spending on it, what is spending? Is spending S? No. is spending, yeah, spending his S. You can see how much essentially Strelok was able to do. He spent more on his army, spent more on technology, spent more on economy, and that's what gave him the win, the ability to just macro up a larger army. The Protoss army at 200 food versus 200 food is about even, or perhaps even a little bit stronger if you have some Psystorm in there. But without Psystorm, there's not much NightEnd could really do. And especially with Amulet, you can wait for the EMP Shockwave to hit and then go for a Warp In, and then that Templar will have enough energy to Psystorm after 5 seconds. Really, really powerful, and would have been crucial in this game. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this 1v1 replay between Strelok and NightEnd here on Shakuras Plateau.